What's up, weirdos? I'm Felicia and I like scary movies, and today we are continuing our Buffy series, talking about my top 5 favorite monsters of the week and the 5 scariest. But before we get into that, I have an exciting announcement, and that is that I have new merch. Travis and I made a little commercial, so I will share that with you now. Did you like it? Was it cute? But yeah, I'm wearing the shirt right now. I love all these designs. I'm very proud of them. All the shirts fit pretty standard to size, I would say. Travis and I are both wearing mediums in those fabulous shots. And yeah, if you want a girly gore shirt, if you want some merch, the Teespring link is down in the description box. Away you go. I hope you like that. All right, let's get into some monsters. Do you guys remember in Space Jam when the monsters, they call themselves the Monstars? Classic. All right, first on my list we have Gaknar. I love this little demon. Gaknar shows up in the Halloween episode called Fear Itself in season 4. The Scooby Gang goes to a frat haunted house party, and when the frat dudes are decorating, they accidentally draw a very spooky symbol they found in a spooky book. Oz bleeds a little bit on it, and thus Gaknar is called upon. This is probably my favorite Halloween episode because it's literally just like an over-the-top haunted house situation. Everyone's in costume. It's just fun. And then at the end, we just get that beautiful moment when Gaknar is finally corporeal or brought forth or whatever. And he's so small. He's so small. It's so cute. I want a tiny Gaknar. I don't know if anyone even sells those, but I would love one. And then it's like Buffy's like prepared to fight this thing, and it shows up and it's teeny tiny, and so she just squishes him. She just squishes him with her foot, and it makes a gross noise. And it's very funny. And then finally they open the book to where they were reading about Gaknar, and it says underneath like actual size or photo true to size, whatever they say. It is so freaking funny. And I love Gaknar. I just do. Next up, we have the Wig Lady. She's from the season 6 episode called Double Meat Palace. This is where Buffy has to start flipping burgers at the Double Meat Palace. She's very sad about it, but she needs the money. Hey, we need the money. But there's this little old lady who throughout the episode orders a cherry pie and like root beer or something. She comes to the Double Meat Palace every day, and at the end we find out she's the one causing all the disappearances because she's actually a giant worm creature that comes out of this old lady's head. Kind of like Harry Potter when the genie comes out of I can't even think of her name right now. Bahilda Bagshot. That's who it is. The author of The History of Magic. Why are we talking about Harry Potter? But when the snake comes out of her, it kind of reminds me of that. But yes, the Wig Lady is a giant worm creature eating people, and then the human remains are getting put into the Double Meat Palace burgers. It's disgusting. It's fabulous. And of course, when they finally defeat the worm by putting it into the meat grinder. I mean, it's just classic. Also, this lady, Pat Brown, I feel like she plays an old lady in every TV show I've ever watched, ever. And she died in 2019, and I was so sad about that. But she's a legend. I actually wonder how many credits she has. She has 181 acting credits. That's amazing. Go her. Next up, we have sort of an unnamed monster, but we're just gonna call them Hansel and Gretel. And this is from the season 3 episode called Gingerbread. This one is so smart to me. It is a demon that disguises itself as 2 dead children to gain the sympathy of the parents of whatever town they're in and ultimately tear the community apart and cause a lot of death. And this episode, Joyce ends up heading this group of women called Moo, Mothers Opposed to the Occult, because that's how they believe the children died, is through some sort of occult, Satanist, etc. situation. Kind of reminds me of like satanic panic stuff in the 80s. But these children have such an effect on the moms of Sunnydale that they're willing to go against their own children and ultimately end up trying to burn Buffy, Willow, and Amy at the stake for being witches. It's just such a smart episode because it plays on the emotions of women in grief, basically, and communities that have like lost someone and what people are willing to do to get the evil under control or whatever they think is going on. But at the end of the day, no one knows who these children are. They don't know who their parents are, where they came from, like if they're even from Sunnydale. It's just so funny that like they get so wrapped up in it all without any information about these kids. It's so freaking smart. Next we have Clem. I just love Clem. He is a demon that is on Buffy's side and is just like a sweetie pie. We meet him at like a poker game where they're trading kittens to eat, which is, you know, unsavory. But Clem is such a sweetheart. Like Buffy even puts him in charge of like babysitting Dawn one time. Him and Spike crash Buffy's 21st birthday party. Like I just love him. He's got this droopy skin and these big like sweet eyes, and I just love everything about his little character. I know he doesn't do a ton for the plot of any given Buffy episode, but I just like him. And also the idea of like not all demons are bad. Buffy only needs to kill demons that are trying to kill other stuff. And last but not least, I have a really random demon that I just really like. He doesn't have a lot of story, there's not a lot of background, but I just like him. And this is season 5. We have a Lei-Ach demon that Glory or Glorificus names Baby, I think. And she hires him to kill Buffy, and it doesn't really go that well. But there's something about this demon that I just love the look of. Like, I know like the stuff on his face is supposed to be like sores, but he almost has like a clown-like look to him. And even though I know he's evil, the way Glory treats him and like his demeanor makes him also appear like weirdly like small and sad. I don't know. There's something about this demon that I just really like every time I watch Buffy. Oh, I have one more too. This is like a random one. This is like a fave random vampire, and that is Lyle and Candy Gorge. They're 2 vampires on their honeymoon attending Slayerfest 98, which is in the episode Homecoming in season 2 of Buffy, where this dude hires all these different assassins to try to kill Buffy. And I just like this couple. I don't know, they're really over the top, ridiculous, and I just like them. Good vampires. All right, next up we're gonna do the 5 scariest demons on Buffy. Let's start with an obvious one and then go from there. The obvious one I feel like is the Gentlemen from Hush in season 4. They are just terrifying, and always to me the idea of screaming and no one can hear you is just horrifying. And also like not being able to communicate with each other, or if you need help, is just, I mean, that's just so freaking scary to me. So that's why the Gentlemen are exceptionally creepy to me. Next up we have the Queller demon. Ooh, I don't like this guy. He comes from space. He like lands in a meteor or something like that. He shows up in Listening to Fear, which is a season 5 episode of Buffy. And it's when Buffy's mom is really sick. I think it's like, I'm pretty sure it's after they found the brain tumor and they're doing some tests, but they let her go home for a couple of nights. And we have this scene of her in bed. She is starting to lose her mind a bit, which is already sad enough. And then you have this giant, wormy, teethy space demon creature trying to spit icky saliva goop on their victims to suffocate them. It's just horrible. They can hang from the ceiling. They can move surprisingly fast. It's just very upsetting, the whole thing. All right, next up we have, and I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, Der Kendestold. This very scary guy. This I thought was the scariest episode of Buffy. The first time I watched it, I literally had to cover my eyes sometimes because I was so scared what was going to happen. But this is the child soul-sucking demon that hangs out in children's wards of hospitals. No. He is so scary because he's invisible to anyone except for the sick children, and also Buffy because she's having like all these flu symptoms. And so when people are really feverish, they can see him, almost what will feel like a hallucination, but then he will suck the life out of them. It's so much. That episode really scared me. And then Buffy's so weak, so she had a hard time fighting him. It's just a lot. Okay, next up we have not a demon, but a robot, Ted. In season 2 of Buffy, the episode called Ted, Joyce, she's been divorced a while. She's looking for love. She starts dating this guy named Ted. Everybody loves him, but Buffy knows Something's wrong with that guy. Turns out he is a robot built by a scientist in the 1950s, and Ted is meant to be the perfect husband, but becomes such a controlling, evil, abusive robot that he ends up killing every single wife he gets. And from what they say on the episode, it seems like Joyce is on her way to being wife number 5. So not good. Not good. And this episode is so scary because Joyce and Buffy's friends like Ted so much, no one's believing Buffy. And so she's like, am I being crazy just because I don't want my mom to move on from my dad? Or is Ted actually terrible? And then they get into this like crazy fight before you realize Ted is a robot, and she kills him. And so us as an audience, Buffy and Buffy's mom, all think that Buffy just killed a human being. I mean, that's an intense episode, honestly. And then they find out, of course, that Ted is just not a person. And Buffy can destroy him then with no regrets. And now we have what I clearly think is the scariest demon of all, and that is Gnarl. Ugh. Gnarl shows up in season 7 of Buffy in an episode called Same Time, Same Place. We don't have a ton of Monsters of the Week in season 7 because the series is like winding down, but Gnarl is so scary. First of all, like his look, terrifying. But it's not even just how he looks, it's what he does. He has these long fingernails that secrete some kind of paralyzing poison, and so when he scratches you, you become totally paralyzed but still awake, while he then proceeds to peel off your skin and eat it in little strips, like a fruit roll-up. It's bad. He also is a very, giddy demon. Like, he really enjoys eating skin. He has a good time paralyzing his victims. He has a good time making fun and, like, degrading his victims. He's so evil. He's also fast. He's fast and good at fighting and stuff. He's just totally terrifying. And this episode is so scary because this is the episode Willow becomes invisible. And so she is totally paralyzed in the cave with Gnarl. Buffy and gang come in. They don't see her. And they just leave and lock her in there. It's so bad. It's so scary. And that's it, people. Those are my top Buffy monsters of the week and the 5 scariest. So please let me know down in the comments which monsters are your favorite. It could be demons, vampires, alien worm creatures, whatever fits your fancy. And also, I have merch. If you want some, buy some. But thank you all so much for watching. We still have a few more videos in my Buffy series to look forward to. So I will see you there. Have a nice screen. Bye.